Welcome to FBB Forum. If you like this content, please be sure to like and subscribe to both YouTube and Instagram. I'm very pleased to welcome the stunning IFBB pro women's bodybuilding and physique competitor, Montana Frey, to the podcast. Montana most recently competed at the NPC Nationals and got 5th place in Class D in women's physique and 10th place in women's bodybuilding. And also, she's been competing for 10 years since she was 17, which I think is really impressive. So welcome, Montana. It's great to have you here.
Hi.
Now,
It's here.
oh, thank you. Thank you. My first few questions are about how you got started in bodybuilding. And I was wondering if you had an athletic or a sports background before you started.
Yeah, I've played basketball, softball, rugby, swim team. I have had a very athletic background. I was very competitive in softball and basketball for I had about 15, 16 years. Ever since me and my sisters could walk, had a ball in our hands. We were at the swimming pool, or we were out riding our horses and stuff and rodeoing competitively.
Wow.
So we've had a really rounded athletic background. I got into bodybuilding because my first job was in a gym, and my owner, she was a retired bodybuilder, and so I would always she'd always catch me looking at all the bodybuilders on the wall and stuff, and she's like, "Well, you want to get up there someday?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, you got a long ways to go," and I in my head I was like, "Oh, that's a challenge. I'll accept it." And the following year, I stepped on stage, and she coached me a little bit through it, and it was a learning. It's always been a learning curve for me. Every show I've done. So the first show, I was like, okay, I really like this. I'm gonna keep doing it. And then I competed again 3 years later after I'd gone through the Marine Corps boot camp and all my schools and stuff, and got established in Camp Pendleton. And then I had time to find prep in and figured it out, found another coach, and it's just been taken off ever since then.
Yeah, you mentioned before we started recording that you had worked or you had done some natural shows before, but how long have you been in doing NPC?
This was my first year competing in NPC.
Oh, it
So
is. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So I went competed naturally for 8.5 years, 9 years. And then I had what split my decision to compete NPC was I had gotten an injury while I was in the Marine Corps, and I had discovered peptides and taking peptides and stuff. And I follow the rules, and I don't want to I was a very live, breathe, was a big natural athlete advocate. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to take this route, I'm not ever going to step my foot back in the natural realm and claim natural, because that's cheating.
Mm-hmm.
And so from then on, I had done my homework and experimented and talked to a lot of coaches and my friends in the San Diego community. So they've helped me steered me in the right direction. And in my first prep for the San Diego Night Champions.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved up. I got out of the Marine Corps, moved up to Northern California, and my brother introduced me to my coach that I have now. And we were trying to figure out what's going on with my metabolism, my health and stuff. And then once we got that figured out, we were going to do Amateur Olympia this year, but we didn't. And I'm glad we decided to push it back. And then we pushed it back to Nationals, the last show of the year. And it's been pretty great. It's just a whole new world for me. I'm definitely learning a whole new side of fitness and bodybuilding, and everyone that's in the community and everyone that's been doing this way longer than me.
That's so cool. Are you getting, yeah, I imagine you're getting more attention now, on socials now that you've done NPC Nationals?
A little bit. I've been pretty disconnected because I work full time as a welding apprentice for the union. So my day job is very taxing and very demanding.
Yeah.
So I work between from 60 to 80 hours a week. on
Really?
top, yeah, on top of managing like prep and bodybuilding.
Wow, that's really a tough schedule. Wow. That's really cool though that you're doing that. And that's a good paycheck too once you get the apprenticeship done, I bet. So
Yeah, the apprenticeship, like it's pretty like rewarding all on its own. They take really good care of us. Um, and being like a veteran, it's very helpful because they're like taking like the extra time to like help me get adjusted to everything.
sure.
So for me, like doing bodybuilding helps me like stay like in like a like constant grind because if I like for me, if I have any time on my feet where I'm like standing around not doing anything or not thinking about something, like I'm gonna go crazy. So
Yeah,
it's
oh, I see.
keeping me like at ease with myself.
That's terrific. That's great. Yeah, I thought you did a great job on stage. And like I talked to you about earlier, I love that did the Kate Bush song Running Up That Hill for your posing routine. That was such a good song.
Yeah,
How long
yeah.
did you work on your routine?
Um, surprisingly, it only took me like I figured that routine out at like 3 weeks out. Um, I wasn't really happy with myself that I did that because at the San Diego show, I practiced that routine for like I want to say 6 weeks, but my work schedule really had me like whooped. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start making time now for a routine. Like my coaches are really having me about to. She's like, have you focused on opposing routine? I was like, no. She's like, okay, but I trust you. You got it. I was like, okay.
It was great. I thought you had great flow up there. You looked really confident, and yeah, you looked awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now I was curious, do you have like a fitness or bodybuilding role model that you look up to?
Um, I look up to a couple. Um, I have like bodybuilding and like fitness role models. I really do look at Chelsea Dion.
Mm.
Uh, a fun fact: we come from like the same hometown.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like we stay in touch. Like we talk to each other. Like we were talking to each other before I before I started peak week. Or when I started peak week, she was really like it's really nice to know that like if I like hit her up and ask her a question, she'll like get back to me. Um, but like we ran into each other before I competed or before she competed for the Olympia last year.
Okay.
And like her and she like used to be like friends with my older sister. So like when we ran into each other, she's like, "Oh my God, it's you!" And I was like, "Hi!" And I've been like following her for like a really long time, like through her like whole like pro card winning venture all the way up till the last Olympia. And so like her and I we stay in touch with each other and we always keep up. And I really like appreciate like anything that she tells me. Um, so she's like a big one that I like to like look up to.
Sure.
Um, also she's like a goal to like achieve like one day like we'll be competing at like the same Olympia, but that's like very way up there, like in the future.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I interviewed her and actually got to meet her in person at the Olympia this year. And yeah, she's super sweet and really inspiring. Yeah, she's amazing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Now I was curious, so you're only 17 when you got up on stage in a bikini for bodybuilding show. Was that kind of nerve-wracking? And do you get nervous now with doing this on stage?
Not really. I think the only nerve-wracking thing about getting up on stage is like the night before when you have to like get a spray tan. Because when I was 17 and I had to go get my first spray tan, I was shell shocked. I was like, whoa. But doing like the years of swim team, like always having to walk around in a swimsuit, like it didn't really bother me that much.
Mhm.
And people seeing me in a swimsuit, I was like, it's whatever. But you know, like getting up on stage now, I'm like, it's go time. We about to have that stage presence. I'm very like I like to think that I'm very confident when it comes to posing, and I'm very comfortable on stage. It's just like now that I have that confidence and the stage presence, I need to have the size and the symmetry and the conditioning coming in a little bit harder. So
Sure.
that's what I'm working on this year.
That's terrific. Yeah, you really look great up on stage. And I was curious, like what, doing both women's physique and bodybuilding at NPC Nationals, what was kind of like your experience like there in Texas? Did you enjoy it?
I did. It was pretty chaotic though, because like as soon as you step off stage, you file off and you get back in line. So it was kind of cool. There's a lot of us that like crossed classes like that. So
Mhm.
us girls like stuck with like doing both. Like we were just talking to each other the entire time. We took pictures and like exchanged numbers and stuff after, and like now we're able to keep up with each other on social media with like how our off season's going. Um, but it was an interesting it was very interesting to like be back there because there was a lot of us back
Yeah,
there. It's just big girls like lined up like, and I was just like, wow, let's hurt the cattle, like get them going.
that's awesome. Yeah, there was a lot of women. I mentioned about, I don't know if it's 14 or 17 women in the heavyweight class for women's bodybuilding for heavyweight, but that was
Oh, there
just
was
crazy that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
17.
17, that's just so many. And I was amazed by that. And but that was such a stacked class too. So that if it had been half that, you would have been maybe top five, you know?
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, but it was a shot in the dark because like I originally like when I was gonna do an amateur Olympia, I wanted to do women's physique because I had done physique for Night of Champions. Um, but it just didn't work out that way. And my coach was like, "Well, you're pretty like on the heavier side for like women's physique. Like, let's see where you place in women's bodybuilding." So it was like a let's see where we're at, where we like stand with all these women,
Mhm.
and like I didn't place. So I was like, okay, well, I don't stand anywhere in bodybuilding yet, but in women's physique, we stand somewhere. So now
Yeah.
dial it in.
Because you were top five, you got to do your posing routine for physique
Yeah,
too. That was great. Yeah. And I just posted your posing routine too, so if the fans want to see it. But yeah, it was
yeah.
really cool. That was awesome. I was curious, were you surprised to see so many competitors in your class for women's bodybuilding? Because I was amazed by that. I didn't expect that many.
I was really excited because like though like seeing some of those women, I was like, that's a lot of experience stepping on stage. That's a lot of time, like time, money, blood, sweat, and tears stepping on that stage.
Mhm.
Like it's my first year into NPC, so I was like, yeah, like I don't know what to expect because like when you're competing like locally, there's nobody there. Like it's just you, like that one women's physique athlete or that one women's bodybuilding athlete
Yeah.
with surrounded by like all these wellness and bikini and figure girls, and they just look at you sideways like, what are you doing here? I'm like,
Yeah, I know. That's true.
I'm but yeah, it was like I was like, yes, there's more of us. This is awesome. I'm not alone. So it's like when you take the big fish in that little pond and like you put them with all the big fish in that giant ass pond. You're like, oh, I'm actually a little fish. This is cool.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
the bikini and wellness girls are like, "Where's your heels?"
yeah, I was like, damn, okay, this is
I know it's a little disappointing. I think that the regional shows don't attract more women's physique and bodybuilding competitors, I think, but it is that the nationals has always attracted a lot of really excellent competitors. So yeah, I'm glad you got a chance to compete there. That was great.
yeah. I had a blast there. I mainly had like the most fun. Like it was just fun that my family got to go and we got to experience like what nationals was like, and then get a taste of like what to expect next time we go. Or if depending on how we do next year's shows, like we just have to see. But I know like the whole family's gonna if we do amateur Olympia next year and it's in Vegas, it's gonna be like a whole family reunion out there because a lot of my family lives in Vegas and it's a driving distance for everyone else. So yeah, probably gonna sell out the whole box office if it's there. So
That's awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
I heard you could hear your cheering section when you stepped on stage for women's physique. So you said you had a lot of family there?
Yeah, I had my sister, both my sisters and my brother, and my girlfriend and my mom, and like some of our friends that lived in the area. They all came out. They were just every time I was on stage, they were screaming at me, or my mom was screaming cues at me. She's like, "Squeeze, squeeze!" Like I could hear her in the crowd. So
Oh, it's great to have the cheering section like that. I
Yeah,
think sometimes I'll go to a bodybuilding show just in the audience and it's just silent, and I just feel bad for the competitors when they just don't have the crowd to help them, or at least a small cheering section.
yeah, yeah, and it is cool because like I like ran like after the show like I ran into some of like the IFBB pros that I've like known for like a couple years, and I've ran into, and they're like, dude, I can't believe your posing routine was sick. And I was like, thanks.
That's awesome.
Like I like in my head I was like, I thought I did terrible, but I guess it was okay, cool.
You did a great job. I really think you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Um, I was curious now that you've done both. Do you prefer physique or bodybuilding, or have your coaches told you you should do one or the other now that you've done both?
Um, I think for now I'm gonna do women's physique and then grow into women's bodybuilding because it's all about like women's bodybuilding. Like that division itself is literally growth and maturity. Like
Yeah,
it's size and maturity. Like there's no other way around it. And it's pretty rare you see like a really young bodybuilder, women's bodybuilder. It's really rare.
that's true.
I youngest there is Chelsea Dion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
that's true.
and she's 29 or almost 29 or 30.
Yeah,
So I have like 4 years to till I'm at that potential. So like I think in women's physique I have a lot of room to play with, and I think year by year I'm just gonna be chipping away just to turn out like win a pro card. So
sure. Yeah,
I, I'm not trying to like press the envelope too much on running anything or like I'm just gonna train and eat and cut, train, eat, cut, like trying to really like let the growing like do its thing.
sure. I think you'll do great. I think you'll get your pro card soon. In the next few years, maybe, definitely. Do you know where you hope to compete next?
I hope to compete at Amateur Olympia next year.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that I do just like this is gonna be my first like bulking season and first off season like that I've had done properly with a coach that really like we've worked together for a whole prep, and she's got me like my metabolism in my body like pretty figured out. So now she's like, now we just see what happens and follow a program and just keep going. And I'm also like balancing work, so that's also what we're playing with. So we're like stretching it out till like October to
Oh,
see how, yeah, because I start a semester of my apprenticeship in January. So like we're trying to see how my schedule is. I'm working, my hours go from 70, 80 hours a week. So
wow.
we're just taking it nice and easy, cruising in, and then we'll hit a hard cut after my semester finishes. So
That's terrific. Yeah, you mentioned you're doing a welding apprenticeship.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah, very cool. I was curious, did you get a chance to talk with the NPC national judges about where they want you to improve your physique?
I didn't get a chance to because it was like I didn't stick around much long after the show. I was like, it's time to eat. And we wanted to, like, all my family was there. So I didn't want to have them wait around
Yeah,
with, I know, like, in my head, I know it's like conditioning, conditioning, conditioning. I just need to, like, develop my legs more, my hamstrings, and really, like, get my quads, like, there. Like, they're there, but they need to be there.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but I've also, like, uh, about a year and a half ago, I had torn my ACL and I never had gotten surgery.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
been in limbo with like babying it. So I finally have like gotten to the point where I'm like starting to like have the strength in my legs, and then like the connection and the like muscle like is like starting to like equal out.
Okay.
So I've had a couple setbacks from that. So it's kind of been hard to really get my legs dialed in, and
Yeah.
like so, and I'm like trying to avoid getting surgery as long as possible because they're like you're to the point where you're gonna need like a real epic knee surgery and it's gonna put you out for a while, and I
Really?
don't want because I need to be on my feet to do my job to make money to be able to pay for what I love doing, and that's bodybuilding. So I can't.
Yeah. In terms of is there a lot of pain in your knee, or how are you doing with it?
It just when it's cold out, it gives out every once in a while. I have
Hmm.
to walk very weird when I go downstairs.
Wow.
I don't do any like side lateral anything for my knee. I barely just got into doing lunges like halfway through my prep,
Okay.
which is like shocking because lunges should be your best friend. Um,
Yeah.
but we figured it out. But you could tell like when I was on stage where I was very lacking, and that was the hamstrings and the like upper quads. But
Hmm.
and now I'm like healthier now, and so I'm more able to focus on getting everything dialed in.
That's great. Yeah, I hope that you can get surgery eventually, but I understand too about wanting to kind of push forward, especially with your apprenticeship and everything. And
Yeah.
yeah, your abs are crazy. That's like, wow, that's amazing abs.
Yeah, I don't I think it's from like years of like swim team. And like I think that's like more of like the genetic side of how like my abs come out.
Yeah.
Because even like when I'm at my heaviest, I still have like the outline. I'm like, I don't get it.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. No, your upper body definitely looks great. I was impressed. Um, Now you mentioned you have a prep coach. Do you mind who is that person that you're working with?
Trish Wood.
Oh, Trish Wood, the bodybuilder, right? She's women's
Mhm.
physique.
Yeah, women's physique.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah, I very like her. Tell me, is she going to come back and compete? We miss her as fans.
She's I asked her too. I was like, when she's like, when I feel like it. But she's doing really well, like with her business and opening up another gym, which is like very exciting. Like I'm very pro like yeah, women owned businesses, and she's really killing the game. Like her opening a second gym, like in like a very populated area that has a lot of gyms over there, is like truly like it's really cool. But what her gym brings is what a lot of gyms lack. So I'm pretty excited to see her gym like when she opens it up thrive. And she's an amazing bodybuilding coach. So I
That's
think
great.
she's gonna do good when like she opens up. I think when she's in like a more comfortable place with like both businesses running sufficiently, this is when she'll probably pick another show.
Where is her gym's located?
She has one opening up in Citrus Heights, California, and then she has another one in Roseville, California,
Which area is that? Is that Southern California?
Northern California.
Oh, Northern California. Oh, very cool. Wow.
Her style of like bodybuilding gyms that she has there is like replicates like the style of bodybuilding gyms that are in Southern California because there's not a lot of gyms like that up here.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
I was,
like her original gym is like very like old school bodybuilder, has really great machines, really great equipment, and her new one she opened up is like has all the top of the line, really great toys in there to play with in the gym.
that's awesome. That's terrific. I'm glad to hear that about her because, yeah, I always liked her. She's so cute, though. She's like a little pixie, She's so cute.
Yeah. she's so cute until she's like mad at you for not doing check-ins and you're like, sorry mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then she'll go after you. Yeah.
She coaches with tough love, and I very much appreciate it. So
That's awesome. Yeah. I think a coach like that is good to have. And you mentioned before you're working with Jacob as a posing coach, and he's the posing sensei. He's really good too. I like him.
yeah, he I almost went to him for like asking him about prep and stuff, but when my brother like intervened with like my prep, and he was like, hey, go see this woman, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I went up there and then literally talked to her for like an hour, and then the next day like signed as one of her athletes to do a prep, and she took me over and took me under her wing. So I was like, okay, this is where we're at. And I would drive up like there after I get off shift and like drive up to Roseville and do a check-in with her every week. So like it's comforting that I get to physically see my coach every week.
That is
So
good.
that's
Yeah.
really like
As opposed to doing it through Zoom or yeah, like go
ritual.
on.
It's just like I don't know, something about it. I'm just like I can't really like I don't do well with it because then like if I'm like texting them and I feel like I'm annoying them, or if I'm like FaceTiming them, I just won't ask any questions. but like when I'm there physically, like see her once a week. So if I have any serious questions, I will ask her, or when she updates my programming, I'll like talk to her about it. So it's like an hour and like a half like dedicated to just us like talking about like what we're doing in prep and posing and check-ins and telling me what I need to work on. That's something I've thoroughly like benefit from by like sending check-ins to somebody that I haven't met. So I mean, it's not knocking like Jake's programming or being a coach for me or anything, because he has helped me like by like a landslide with my posing
Yeah.
approach. But when it comes to like prep and coaching, I personally like having someone I see every week that's gonna be like, hey, this is what you gotta do. Hey, get your shit together. Hey, like stop eating like this. Like simple things. It's just for me, it's more comforting when I'm going through a prep because I spend 85% of my time mindlessly like eating the prepped food that I have to have and work like 12, 14 hours a day. So
Wow. I bet Trish is a good mentor too. Because she's had a lot of experience.
yeah, she does.
Yeah.
A great mentor.
Yeah, she's awesome. Wow. I'll have to see. Maybe I can get her to do an interview on here too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I hope that she does it because like it'd be really great to hear what like she has to say.
Yeah, she's impressive. I remember her when she was really at the top of her game, just a few years ago, and placing really high at the shows. But she's really cool. Um,
Yeah.
and how long have you worked with Jake?
I've worked with Jake since I think February.
Okay, yeah, he seems like a really good posing coach.
No, he's phenomenal. He's doing really well. He's picking up some really great clientele, and just like spreading the flow, spread the flow.
You said he's about the same age as you two. You guys are young whippersnappers.
Yeah, pretty young in game, but we have a lot to learn and stuff. So it's just it's always like I don't like I like to think like about bodybuilding is like you never stop learning something new.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Now, I was curious, what would you say is the most challenging aspect of prep for you?
Um, surviving a day at work.
Yeah.
Like I wake up and do my fasted cardio and I have to go to work and then I'm like, okay, now we go to the gym. That's like my favorite part of the day. And then I
Yeah.
know I get home and sleep. So it's like when I get closer to like stage, like stepping on stage, I'm dreading being at work. I'm
Hmm.
just lethargic and I'm just there. Like I ask my foreman, I'm like, please don't make me do a lot. But I'm an apprentice, so I can't ask that. So
Yeah, I understand.
that's it.
I bet that's tough though. Yeah, just in terms of just having enough hours in the day and probably getting enough sleep. Are you getting enough sleep, do you think? Or
I think like towards I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. I was probably averaging like 5 to 6 hours.
yeah.
Um, but that was no, I think I probably got like 8 because my shift changed after my show.
Mm,
Um, so I was working like 10 to 12 hours a day towards the
mm.
end of my prep. So I was still getting like some sleep, like 6 to 7 hours. But right now I average like 5 hours of sleep a day.
Really? Oh man, that's tough. Yeah. I hope you can get back to more sleep would be better.
Yeah, I feel like it's like since we're like the growing phases, like my days off I spend like just sleeping. I I eat a big meal and I just sleep all day.
Really?
And then
Yeah.
I feel a lot better. Like I like it's really bad, but I catch up on all my sleep in one day and then I like little bursts. But when I like drive to work, I still have to wait an hour before like we clock in. So I get like a 45-minute nap in.
Oh,
So
good.
like we run off naps around the house. So it's
Naps
okay.
are good. Yeah, naps are your friend for sure. We're running a little low on time. I just going to ask you a few more questions here. I was curious if you could, because you've been bodybuilding for 10 years now, if you could give any advice to rising pros who are kind of looking for a good coach and looking for somebody that's attentive and meets your needs.
Yeah, I definitely like reach out to the posing sensei and his team. There's also Jared Feather. He does full ROM. His crew, like they are a team of really outstanding IFBB pros. Um, I've watched Jared Feather go from natural to pro. Natural, like a pro as a natural and a pro as IFBB.
Hmm.
That was like, okay, he can do it. Like that was also something very inspiring for me. So I know his team is really good. Um, then there's Trish. If you're in like Southern California, there's I'm trying to think, but there's a lot of coaches that are out there.
Hmm.
Uh, but what I would tell people uh, who are up and coming, like I'm not a pro yet. I'm still fighting for that spot to win my pro card.
Yeah.
But I tell them it's very like go into it very humble.
Hmm.
That slice of humble pie now because you're gonna learn so much every time you step on stage. When it comes to the traveling part, when it comes to stepping on stage, um, connecting with people, like it's all something new. It's all like a learning experience. But my biggest thing is like be patient with your body and be patient with yourself because like with time like comes growth.
Hmm.
So you don't want to like rush too much or push anything too fast. Just
Hmm.
let like time and do the work, like really do the work.
Hmm.
uh,
It's good advice for sure.
it's like the sport is like it's not about like it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Like you it's a sport of longevity because you could take everything under the sun and do a couple shows and win a pro card, but are you going to last that long? Is your health going to keep up with you? Like there's the last couple of years has been athletes dropping left and right because of health problems and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that's something to consider with like take your health into consideration. That's something I have to tell athletes because I've had athletes hit me up and they're like, well, how long have you been running a cycle? I'm like, well, it's my first year. I've done everything naturally for 10 years. And then when my body reached full maturity level, I started doing like the cycle, but I
Hmm.
also was injured. So I wanted something that benefit me,
Hmm.
not so also along with muscle growth. So I took my health in consideration before anything else. So do the blood work, do the homework, do talk to the coaches, talk to doctors, stay on top of it because you don't want like anything going wrong in the future and you don't want to drop dead at like 40. So it's also
Yeah.
something you want to think about.
Zoom's gonna kick us off here in a second. Could you do a quick flex? I'll
Uh,
myself on mute.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Montana. Thank
Yeah,
you
no
so
problem.
much. I'll get this posted relatively soon, but I really appreciate your time and best
Absolutely.
wishes to you.
Thank you.